that's one thing that's embedded in all of this. The next part is very similar to what I had before. It's the core guardrails. I have a two-track approach to privacy. One is the professional research and preparation, which basically says that staff are free to use AI, basically any of the AIs that they think are going to be helpful in their jobs, as long as they provide no student-specific, personally identifiable information. However, track two are the student interactions. It says that any student tool that a teacher is directing a student to has to be one that conforms to our student data privacy protection database, which basically means that if we're directing a student to an AI, it's an AI that's agreed to the requirements we have basically to protect student information and their privacy. Regardless of whether you're on track one or track two, there's this verify and vet component, meaning that is very important both for the educators in their own practice and also in what they're teaching students, to not just trust what comes out of AI, because AI is expert at sounding very confident about things that it sometimes is just making up. And so teaching kids to not be trusting just because it's coming out of a computer that sounds like it's very confident doesn't mean that it's true. And then to have transparent attribution and trying to be transparent about how you use the AI, because there are many different ways in which you can use AI. The next piece of this in the guardrails is the feedback you gave me last time, prohibitions against AI impersonations, deepfake, and AI-assisted bullying and harassment. So we go over voice synthesis, deep fakes, which are creating or altering images to place individuals in compromising or false contexts, and then using AI to assist in bullying or harassment. The next piece is a completely new piece, which is support for receptive language accessibility. And this is something that I learned in the class, and this is also something that I learned in just talking with teachers about how they're using AI. One of the things that I think was really sort of a revelation for me is that one of the really smart ways students can use AI is not to generate work for them, but to basically be an online tutor. Like I say, I didn't understand the way the teacher explained how to do this problem. Can you explain it a different way? Or I didn't understand this concept. Can you give me a different way of looking at it? And just using that AI as someone who can be sort of like that person you can turn to, or that entity you can turn to when your teacher's not available if you get stuck thinking about a thing. Another thing that people are using AIs for is to provide access to content that normally wouldn't be accessible to them. And I tested this out. One of the things that is often given to us as an example in trying to understand how to assist English learners is when they reach a certain level of English proficiency where they can communicate and do activities of daily living, there's sort of like this this mismatch between how they present and how they're able to access work. It's often said that an English learner who's at that level is not really ready for academic content. It would be like you reading a journal in a field that you're not familiar with, and trying to understand what that means. And so one of the ways students are using AIs is to sort of break that down. So I said, I want to experiment with that. So I found this paper that someone in the room might be familiar with called, I think it's Subcutaneous and Endopic Assisted Ligation of the,
Subcutaneous endoscopic assisted
Sounds like under the skin,
ligation.
right?
thank you. So I prompted this and said, I have an advanced degree, but no medical training whatsoever. Explain this to me in a way that I could understand. You never know when I might meet one of the authors. And what I got from reading the sort of revised version of it is that laparoscopy is the preferred technique for fixing hernias because it allows you to see if there could be other hernias starting to develop. But it's usually thought that you need to use general anesthesia for that, which can be risky for young children and babies. However, what you were able to prove is that you can do it using spinal anesthesia, and it was a safer and more effective and quicker method. And so I guess what I would ask is, did it kind of get it right? Was it able to sort of break down what that paper meant for me? So that's a kind of cool way to use AI perceptively.
Yes, that's not bad. That's not bad.
So that's this piece. And so then we have two components here. One are student expectations and one are staff expectations. And another change in this version of it is, I think at first I was looking at AI as kind of like a binary. Either you're going to let kids use it or you weren't going to let kids use it. But what I learned from the course is that it's actually a leveled thing. You know, you do have on one end no use, and on the other end, you know, having the AI do basically all of the work. But there are different levels in between that. You can have AI-assisted brainstorming. You can have AI-supported drafting. You can have AI collaborative creation. And each of those are different levels of the human involved and different levels of the AI involved. And, you know, when you're talking about attribution and being transparent about attribution, what I mean is saying, okay, the teacher says you can use AI at level 3 for this assignment, or level 2 or level 1, your choice. And then the student would say, okay, I produced this work, I used AI 2. And then the teacher takes that into account when deciding what the grade is. And then we have this piece for educator responsibilities, again, with the idea of a human AI human loop. So the idea is you want educators to experiment and do little, experiments, like try breaking down a paper in something you don't understand, see what it does for you. Maybe that would be a way your students can understand things that are hard for them. Make sure that you're using your professional judgment. In terms of instructional integrity, don't just, say to your AI, I want you to plan this course for me, but use your AI maybe to help you identify pieces of work or generate pieces of work that students could respond to, generate problem sets possibly for kids to respond to. We are signaling for staff to be real cautious about using AI detectors because they are very unreliable. I've tested this myself. I've put things that I've generated with AI into AI detectors and it's told me it's human, and I've put things that I've written myself with no AI into the detector and it's told me, oh, a computer definitely wrote this. So it has both false positives and false negatives, so we don't want staff relying on that. And then just commitment to growth, because as this tool and these tools continue to develop, it's going to be important, I think, for educators to continue to follow up. So, and then there are two equity and ethical considerations around this. One of it is bias mitigation. One of the things that I found kind of shocking, not in this course, but in another piece that we had some come talk to us about, is that the bias in AI has been measured to be larger than any human bias ever found. And that's because it kind of amplifies all of the human bias that it's been trained on. And so it's really important for a human to always kind of know if AI generated it, there's probably bias at work, and you have to sort of be trying to work against that. And then equitable access. You know, I gave kind of an example of how AI can be used to try to make things more accessible to kids. If only certain kids get AI and it's used for access purposes, it means then only some kids are going to have access and others aren't. I ended it with a statement, an attribution. Statement was drafted with the assistance of generative AI. It had parts here where I wasn't exactly sure how to phrase this. I would say it was probably a level 1 or 2 AI assistance. And then I also included the resources, which are mostly resources from that course. So that's my second attempt. This is, I will say, I shared this out to the staff to get some feedback from staff, which has been incorporated in this. I think it's a better version, and it's what I'm recommending now.
Did you say you used AI to help write this?
Yep. And I attributed it.
So this, in my experience, this looks like it was written with AI assistance. Because I find that the AI, when it writes things, loves to put things in dots and like almost, it loves like things in an almost outline format.
Yep.
Which is good, people read it, understand it better.
Yeah, and it likes to put the bold face on certain things.
So it's
It really likes to do that. It does not like to just do prose paragraphs.
because people don't read that. But
So-
just want to bring a point on AI, you know, with all its, it's very good, but what it doesn't replace, and I was speaking to somebody the other day, an executive at a multi-billion-dollar company in Massachusetts, and somebody had to do a proposal, presentation for the CEO, and there were mathematical mistakes in it that they just didn't even pointed out. They didn't even understand the mathematical mistakes because they didn't know the math themselves.
Yes.
The point is that nothing replaces. They use all AI to help learn, but at the end of the day, you have to sit a kid down in class with no phone, no computer. They should be able to write a page, an essay, and they should be able to do some basic math without any assistance. So they can use AI to help them get there, but you gotta be able to test them without any tools to see when they leave this place that if there's no computer, they understand the math and they understand how to write, because AI makes a lot of mistakes. And we find it all the time. But it doesn't replace that.
Agreed. And I think a core thing, kids and anyone using AI should understand is there's large language models. They're not large mathematical models. So they really haven't been trained on a lot of math.
So you guys who took a course, change your perspective on this. What are our plans to train the teachers? And since we're cutting down, or we might be cutting down on professional development, I'm a little concerned about going forward with something like this. Because you change your whole perspective on it after you had the training. I think we have an obligation, before we turn this loose, to get the training out there.
It's already loose.
They're already using it. The question is, do we want this policy down in the books? Or do we want to allow it to continue to be the Wild West? Anything goes. Because that's kind of what's, now there's no policy strictly against it, there's no policy strictly for it. I think AI did a wonderful job writing this. No.
I think we need some policy.
I think that this is good.
You
So-
saw, it somehow added that students still need to be taught, or tested without AI. I think something like that, a paragraph in there, something to just make the thing that they should know math, they should know writing, basic math and basic writing without AI. But going to that,
We do have hundreds of lines of those kind of things in the curriculum and the graduation requirements, and there's going to be hundreds of more lines along those things
But a lot of it
added
is they can do
when
at
we
home.
finally get the modified graduation requirements from the state, now that we got rid of MCAS.
Yeah, a lot of it they can do at home, and it's, again, something to sit somebody, when they come into my office, they can bring all kinds of stuff. They have a diploma, but if I don't sit them down and say, can you write a page without any assistance? Can you do some basic math? I don't know. And a lot of employers now are finding that the people don't know the basics on their own because they're just having computers do it for them. So I think that's a very important thing. But also, recently there was a big thing in Massachusetts itself about, there's abuse of AI, which is covered in here. And how few districts had policies actually preventing, against it. And that was in the Globe a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, whatever it was, about number of kids, the number of districts that are having some real problems with AI being abusive. And I know my daughter's school had deep fakes and things, and my grandkids' school, and they had some big problems with that too. So I think making sure that we have guardrails as well as, you know, the positives of it, and as well as also making sure we put something in here that people still have to know math and writing without AI.
I think we could add that into the AI matrix adoption, say just something like student assessments, or at least, you know, the expectation is that in all courses, at least some assessments will be level 1, no AI assistance.
Yes, that'd be good.
Mhm.
Because otherwise they can get by with AI just passing the course for them, then what is it?
Mhm, right.
Along those lines, way back in the day when I was teaching middle school, the first thing I would do is I'd get 2 maps, put them up, and I'd put identical addition problems on there. And all the kids had calculators. And I would say, all right, you can only use your calculator if you can add these columns of number faster than I can with my mind. And they'd still be punching in. That's it, calculator's gone. You really have to learn the basics.
You're
But if
absolutely
you
right.
don't,
You're absolutely right.
I mean, that's a concrete foundation that is something you build on, the complex theories. And, you know, if you're missing that, I mean, you go into a store today, if the electricity comes off, half the cashiers
can't.
don't know how to.
That's it.
Again, same thing, the
Just,
experiment I did that was always on that line, is say, weigh this thing 3 times, all about 1 gram. I want the average, and half the kids in the class was 2.13, you know, 2 1/3. Okay, 3 things all weigh about 1, how can it be 2 1/3? Because the calculator says it is, because they were doing 1 plus 1 plus 1 divided by 3, which is 2 1/3. Not even realizing that it has to be around 1. And, you know, forget the calculator. Mr. Rediker, the calculator says that's where the answer is. Well, in your brain, does it seem right?
mhm.
And that's what we have to get through. We have to get the logic and not the tools that they're using wrong. You've got to understand it.
To make sure you get an answer to your question though, at the last full day professional development, our keynote speaker was all about AI and teaching educators how to use AI. One of the main recommendations she made was that teachers spend like 20 minutes a week trying a different tool, just seeing what it can do. Because I think it's kind of a practice in developing the different skills. And they all work a little bit differently, and you kind of have to build up your skill set. The course that the Department of Education has put online, anybody can take now, so that's something we can support people in doing. And then I know that many teachers have approached us about getting PDPs for taking the course that the state of Massachusetts is offering for all citizens. So I think, you know, I do think teachers are motivated to try to learn this because it is out there, and they, you know, kids know a lot about this, and teachers want to stay up to speed with it.
I wonder how many coaches in the NFL just have the AI do their game plans for them. And then the other guy, the defensive guy's doing the game plan too.
That would be
computers
a
might get you.
horrible use of AI, because everything AI generates is based on what it thinks is the next most probable statement based off of the statement before, right?
Right.
So if you
Trends.
used AI to generate your game plan, it's going to give you an extremely predictable game plan. Whereas you ideally would want your game plan to involve something unexpected, something the other team hasn't planned for, so you
Yeah,
can
it should be
get
smart enough to do
a
that.
tactical advantage, right?
If you fed all the videos into AI, it should be able to come up with something that is unpredictable, if you tell it to do that. Anyway, that's just off the subject, but.
I think that's the definition of anti-AI
Yeah.
right now, based on the way it
Eventually
works.
they're doing that.
Yeah, so, all right, so, I'm looking for a motion to approve this guideline. Well, no, it'll be a policy?
I think a guideline,
Guideline?
MASC doesn't have a code for it, so you put it in the handbook.
Okay. Looking for a motion
I
to
approve
approve
with
this
that
policy
extra statement that.
with Rich's amendment.
I motion whatever you just said.
Second.
All
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, look at that, we have an AI guideline to bring up to the school committee. Yay.
Yay.
And I guess we have the need for another meeting, right?
To talk about the MOU?
Right, yeah. What time period do you think is gonna be reasonable for us to be ready to have, because I assume we're gonna have to discuss it again in executive session based on response from the town.
I would say, let's give it about a month.
Give it about a month.
So is
Okay.
this an exec session with chief of police or?
Subcommittee's pleasure.
I think without, so, all right, so we're looking at end of May, beginning of June. What is today, Wednesday? What do you guys think of Wednesday, June 3rd?
I'm going to be out of town for the, like normal, for the, starting with the 25th of May to, for about 3 weeks. So if it's before then, that week before, I'm fine, otherwise, maybe remote.
John could do the 3rd of June.
Are you up for election this year?
Yep,
And are you running for re-election?
yes.
Okay, cool.
I know there is an opponent, so. it
Huh?
doesn't happen. There is an opponent, I don't know if it's what's gonna happen, I haven't done that much yet, so. It's 2 weeks, so who knows?
All right, so, and the new term will, so all right, so let's try to make a date before you leave, Rich, then, because you're already involved in this, so in the event that you're not still on, it would be good to have this matter closed if we could. You said you're going away when?
I'm leaving on May, after Memorial Day weekend, like the Monday night of Memorial Day.
Monday night of Memorial Day weekend. All right, so,
So that's the 25th.
we don't want to have a meeting on Friday before Memorial Day weekend. I'm on call Thursday. We have a school committee meeting on May the 20th.
We could do that before the school committee meeting.
We can't because there's a retiree
No,
celebration that day, right?
May 20th? No, that's on June 11th. The retirement thing?
What
is
is this
on
in my calendar
Thursday,
here?
June 11th.
HWRSD retiree and Grinspoon.
Greenspoon's different.
Grinspoon is different. That is Wednesday, May 20th. That is at the log cabin. It does not, it's just Grinspoon, Mike, not retirees. It's at the log cabin.
And Grinspoon reception prior to school committee meeting. That's at the log cabin?
We moved the meeting because of Grinspoon. So the meeting is Thursday, May 28th.
Okay, so, well, either way, it sounds like Wednesday's not a good day.
No,
The 19th's fine too, though.
19th? How about you, Tim? Is the 19th good? Because I'm not on call the 19th.
Right now, May 19th will work.
Okay, I would like to make it a little later because I'm gonna be in the office, so, I don't know, could we do it at 6 on the 19th?
It's fine, it's fine.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
How about you guys?
John's okay, just you'll have an open house at Sewell you go to first, because it's 5 to 6:30.
Okay.
So you can go there first and then do a 6
Perfect.
o'clock.
Yes.
Does Jonathan need to be invited?
Do you need us to make it 6:30?
No,
No.
it's fine.
Does Jonathan need to be invited?
I think so. Yes,
Is it-
because
So it's a Tuesday.
I'll leave it up to your discretion whether we need to invite Jonathan and whether we need to discuss it in executive
Okay.
session or not. Because depending on what comes back from the towns in response, you know, if they accept everything we suggested, then, I don't know, we might not even need to have the meeting, right?
Right.
So,
Well, we will be getting feedback from Katie. She might have some other things.
okay,
We haven't even
all
thought
right,
of yet.
so,
What's that?
Every stream,
Restraints.
might as well do it.
Oh, you wanna add that
Oh,
policy?
you're trying to add
Well,
it.
it depends on
Okay.
if someone issues a draft by
Oh.
then.
Right. There's a possibility the Department of Ed may give new regulations on restraint, which we could add. that point.
Okay, oh, right, yeah, that would be coming, because we just got done with education on new regulations of restraint in the hospital. So
Oh, so,
it would be predictable. It's the same thing that trickles down to the
Maybe.
schools. Okay.
Mhm.
DESI hasn't finalized their guidance to us.
So I can imagine that they're not good about having to give any, but it's always a very sensitive subject.
Yep.
right.
Okay,
All
Sound
right,
good?
so I'm gonna put that in as a placeholder, invite everybody, so it's there on the
Yep.
books for
yep,
Tuesday, May 19th at 6 o'clock.
yes. Cool. All right, anything else? Open forum, that anyone wants to bring up to discuss with policy? No?
We'll say a motion to adjourn is in order.
Yes?
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned,
6 weeks. Is that-
6:05. We're
After
5
the election,
minutes
is
late.
it immediate? Did we change that policy? It's still back, it's in July?
It's July.
So,
Yep.
remember we talked about it being.